There are many courses within the Mario Kart series, and when I mean many, I mean almost 200. Since there are so many courses in the Mario Kart series, there have been some obvious standouts like Coconut Mall, Rainbow Road, and Yoshi Circuit. However, there is one course that is a massive standout and has earned the status of a fan favorite track. That track, of course, being Waluigi Pinball. Waluigi Pinball is considered one of the greatest in this whole series by many, and rightfully so. It has an amazing gimmick, soundtrack, and of course, an amazing theme. It's no wonder that this course is so beloved by all and is easily worthy as one of the greatest in Mario Kart history. However, this course is not just positives though, as some think that this course is very overrated, and the god tier status that this course is held up as is not justifiable in the slightest. In this video, I will go over the history of Waluigi Pinball, talking about the layout, soundtrack, and the changes that this course has undergone over the course of the series. Then I will talk about why this course is so controversial within the Mario Kart community. Waluigi Pinball debuted in Mario Kart DS as the third course in the game's Flower Cup. This course is themed after a giant pinball machine with colorful neon lights. This theme is very out of the box, and is something that most have not seen coming. But what's a good theme without a good layout? The course starts off with a cannon shot through a colorful tunnel. This is a very cool way to start off the course, and this section is one of the many sections to include a very unique sound effect. After that, you do a left turn with item boxes on the inside of the road and boost panels on the outside. You will also be able to see the first pinball riding on a railing on the outside. After a jump, that pinball from earlier lands on the track and basically acts like a car in any traffic course. This is a very cool idea as it basically turns a normal obstacle into something a lot more creative. There are then a few turns that you have to maneuver around while avoiding the pinball. There is a risk versus reward factor, as you can play it safe and go on the outside over going close to the pinball and risk getting hit by it. After that, you abandon the pinball and do a 270-degree turn with some item boxes. One thing that's interesting about the item boxes on this track is that they actually play a unique sound effect when they are rolling. This is just one of the many things that this track has to make it more unique. After a slight dip in the road, you do 2 left turns until you finally end up on the pinball table itself. This is easily the coolest part about the track. All the elements of pinball are here, from bumpers, flippers, and this is where the pinball from earlier now is, now being bounced around everywhere at fast speeds. One thing that you can do to prevent yourself from getting hit is that you could go on the outsides of the track, which is slower but safer. Once you exit the pinball table, a unique sound effect plays. After you do 2 more left turns, you end up back where you started, with Lakitu playing another unique sound effect. Overall, it's pretty easy to see why this course is so beloved. Not only does it have a good layout and theme, there are some very unique sections that make this track very memorable. Now, let's see how this course was adapted into other games. Waluigi Pinball got its first remake in Mario Kart 7 and was the last track of the Banana Cup. Mario Kart Wii was introduced in between Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart 7 and introduced tricking to the series. This will be important later, but the first major change of this version is that the colorful tunnel now has a glider section. Even though you can only control yourself right before you land, it is still cool to see this change as gliding was introduced in Mario Kart 7. The other major change in this version is that the ramps on the track can now be tricked on. Since Mario Kart Wii added tricking to the game, it makes sense that they would make a track that already has ramps trickable. That's all of the main changes made to the track in Mario Kart 7. However, There is one more change to the track that I didn't talk about, but I will talk about once I get to the Mario Kart 8 section. So let's move on to that. Waluigi Pinball was introduced into Mario Kart 8 through the Booster Course Pass, and is the final track of the Turnip Cup. There are two major changes here, but the first one has to do with the visuals. The Booster Course Pass is known for having its graphics ripped mostly from Tour, and even though Waluigi Pinball does look a lot better than the Booster Course Pass tracks, I don't think that it looks as good as the original versions. This is not a huge deal as the graphics have nothing to do with gameplay, but this next change does have to do with the gameplay. In Mario Kart DS, you build up a mini turbo by hopping and moving the D-pad side to side. However, starting in Mario Kart Wii, this was changed to it charging up once you hold a drift long enough. I won't go too in depth about this as this topic could be used for a completely different video, but the main thing here is how the course feels to play. Some of the turns feel much better in this and the 7 version, as you can now just hold one direction to charge a mini turbo, instead of two for turns like the 270 degree turn. Turns like this are much more satisfying to pull off and feel less awkward. There are two minor changes in this version that are different, with the first being the removal of the sound effect from leaving the pinball table. Take a listen. This isn't a really big deal, but what kind of is a big deal is the song. Ever since the original version on the DS, this course has shared its song with another track, that being Wario Stadium. It wasn't a big deal then, but here it kind of is. Wario Stadium was in the base game of Mario Kart 8, and was given a remix to suit the course better. But when Waluigi Pinball came over through the Booster Course Pass, they decided to just give it the Wario Stadium song. This is unfitting as the song is now being used for a course that it wasn't intended to be used for. And even though this is something I don't really like, at least the Wario Stadium song is pretty good, so at least there's that. Overall, even though this course didn't change that much compared to other tracks, it didn't really need to change that much in order to still be a good track. So now let's just go ahead and rank them all. Now that I've gone over all the versions of Waluigi Pinball, I'm going to rank them. So here is my ranking of all the versions of Waluigi Pinball from worst to best. At number 3 we have 8th version. The poor graphics, missing sound effects, and reused song makes this the weakest version. Not much more to say than that. At number 2 we have DS's version. I think that the original is very good and actually looks the best, but the drift style isn't suited for some of the turns. And at number 1 we have 7's version. This has everything missing from 8's version and has good drift controls, making this the best version of the track. Now with that out of the way, it's time to go over why this course is so controversial within the Mario Kart community. I said at the beginning that this course is controversial, but why is that? Well, not only was it something I can use for the thumbnail, but whenever I watched videos on YouTube about DS tracks, one thing has stood out to me. That being the fact that some people say that this course is just alright. Meanwhile, others say that it deserves to be in a tier above S tier, implying that the course deserves to be up with the levels of gods. I already talked about why this course is so beloved due to the uniqueness of the track, so now I'll talk about the other side of the discussion. First off, I'm going to start off by saying that no one thinks that this course is bad, but just some go a little bit overboard when talking about the praises, and some think that it's just not good, and not like great or anything. The main thing that I hear when someone talks about why they dislike this course is the fact that they think it's lame, that only 30% of the track is actually on the pinball table itself, and the rest of it is just on a boring road. Personally, I do think that this is fine, as the whole point of a course is to build up to a climax, and the climax of Waluigi Pinball is the pinball table section. You can't just have a course that is just the climax all the way through. You have to have different things to keep the course interesting to build up to the climax. The other main point is that the course does not have any shortcuts. Yeah, even though one of the main points of track design and whole item's purpose is to take shortcuts, this course does not have any, making this a very front-running track. I do think that this is a point against the track, as even 1 or 2 shortcuts can change the whole track's feel. I just hope whenever this course gets remade again, that they add shortcuts, since that's the only problem that I have with the course. Waluigi Pinball is an amazing course, and it's easy to see why. Its unique theme with a near-perfect execution of that theme makes it easy to see why, even though with the flaws I pointed out earlier, this is a very, very good track, and I hope that we see this course again. That's all I have for today, so please like, subscribe, and comment if there is something that you disagree with. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the racetrack.